What if the official story of a tragic plane crash was not the whole story? For the families of the 213 souls lost on Air India Flight 171, this question is not just a conspiracy theory, it's a painful, lingering wound. The official report cited catastrophic mechanical failure, a tidy explanation that closed the case. But was it too neat? Over the years, evidence has emerged, breadcrumbs leading to a much darker possibility. A possibility involving international espionage, Cold War secrets, and a truth the US government may have known all along. The crash sent shockwaves through the aviation world, but its true impact might be even greater, a story of a massive cover-up that protected powerful interests at the expense of justice. We're told to trust the experts, to accept the findings of official investigations. But what happens when those investigations leave too many questions unanswered? The story of Flight 171 is a reminder that sometimes, the most important truths are the ones never spoken aloud. This isn't just about revisiting an old tragedy, it's about understanding how history is written and by whom. The narrative we've been given is one of unfortunate circumstances. A technical glitch that led to disaster. But a closer look reveals inconsistencies. Eyewitness accounts dismissed, crucial data never fully analyzed, and whispers of foreign involvement quickly silenced. We'll examine the evidence piece by piece, asking the questions investigators should have asked nearly 50 years ago. The families of the victims deserve answers, the public deserves the truth. As we peel back the layers, a troubling picture forms. A world locked in a tense geopolitical struggle, where information was a weapon and secrets were currency. Could Flight 171 have been a casualty of this hidden war? Could 213 innocent lives have been sacrificed for a larger, clandestine objective? The silence has gone on for too long. Air India Flight 171 was supposed to be just another flight, Bombay to Dubai, January 1, 1978. The Boeing 747, Emperor Ashoka, carried 190 passengers and 23 crew, all starting a new year with hope. The captain, Madan Lal Kukar, was a seasoned pilot. The mood at Sahar International Airport was routine. The aircraft was a symbol of pride for Air India, a marvel of modern engineering with a solid maintenance record. Passengers from all walks of life boarded, expecting a smooth journey across the Arabian Sea. On paper, everything pointed to a normal departure, but the crash became a defining moment in Indian aviation history, the deadliest air disaster in the nation's history at the time. The loss of Emperor Ashoka was a blow to national confidence and raised urgent questions about aviation safety. How could one of the world's most advanced aircraft simply fall out of the sky minutes after takeoff? The routine flight turned into a national catastrophe, and the search for why it happened would soon become a frustrating, controversial journey. For the families, the pain is still fresh, compounded by the feeling that they never received the full story. To understand the mystery of Flight 171, we must first understand the world of 1978, a time of intense global anxiety. The Cold War was at a fever pitch. Superpowers played dangerous games of espionage and proxy wars. India, under Prime Minister Morarji Desai, was officially non-aligned but strategically important, especially after its 1974 nuclear test. The Desai government's pro-Western tilt created internal and external tensions. Technologically, the era was a double-edged sword. The Boeing 747 was advanced, but black box technology was primitive. Investigators had to rely on limited, sometimes corrupted data. Any major incident involving a national carrier like Air India was bound to be viewed through a political lens. Was it a simple accident, or something more? In a world of covert operations, a civilian airliner could easily become a target. The crash of Flight 171 happened at a crossroads of Cold War politics, nuclear ambitions, and emerging technologies. The search for a simple explanation was never going to be easy. The night of January 1, 1978, was clear over the Arabian Sea as Flight 171 lifted off at 8:12 p.m. For the first minute, the ascent was smooth. Then, suddenly, the aircraft stopped climbing and began a slow descent. In the cockpit, confusion erupted. The captain's attitude director indicator malfunctioned, showing a false right bank. The captain corrected by turning left, sending the plane into a spiraling left turn. It was a dark, moonless night, no visual reference outside. The pilots were flying blind, relying on faulty instruments. The co-pilot and flight engineer tried to warn the captain, but their warnings came too late. the plane's bank angle increased, the descent became irreversible. Just 101 seconds after takeoff, Flight 171 slammed into the sea. The impact was catastrophic. The aircraft disintegrated, and all 213 people on board perished instantly. The explosion and impact scattered wreckage across the seabed. For those on shore, the sudden silence was the first sign that something was terribly wrong. The routine flight ended in a fiery, watery grave. The official story: a tragic accident caused by instrument failure and pilot error. But was it really that simple? The mystery would endure for decades. The investigation was led by Indian authorities. The black boxes were recovered within days. The cockpit voice recorder captured the frantic final moments, confirming the narrative of spatial disorientation. The flight data recorder showed the aircraft entering a fatal left bank and descending into the ocean. The official report blamed a faulty instrument and pilot confusion, but troubling elements remained. The captain was highly experienced, making his disorientation unusual. Why didn't he trust his co-pilot's warnings or switch to backup instruments? The investigation focused almost exclusively on the cockpit, dismissing other possibilities. The neat conclusion left a void, a space where doubt and suspicion could grow. The official report closed the case, but it failed to silence the whispers. Eyewitnesses reported seeing an explosion or bright flash before the plane hit the water, accounts largely dismissed by investigators. Some analysts argued the extreme fragmentation of the wreckage could indicate an explosive device, not just a high-speed impact. A bomb in the cargo hold could explain both the instrument failure and the eyewitness reports. The investigation never seriously pursued sabotage. Some reports mentioned unusual burn patterns on recovered remains, details not highlighted in the final report. Was this information suppressed to avoid a politically sensitive investigation? The cockpit voice recorder transcript could be interpreted differently. Was the captain reacting to something else? Without a full, transparent analysis, the official story feels less like a conclusion and more like a carefully constructed narrative. In the absence of a satisfying explanation, theories emerged, most persistently, sabotage. Some believe a bomb was planted, pointing to the political climate and active radical groups. The PFLP, known for hijackings, was suggested, though no claim was made. Others speculate the crash was a message to India's new government or an assassination attempt. The theory of mechanical failure remains the official explanation, with experts citing classic spatial disorientation. But a third possibility: a small, explosive device, disabled key systems, inducing pilot error and creating a plausible accident. This would require sophisticated planning, pointing to a state-sponsored actor. Which state would have the motive and means? The question lingers. The most explosive theory involves the United States. Declassified documents and leaks suggest the CIA was tracking Flight 171 for a specific reason. Some claim the plane was secretly carrying sensitive materials related to India's nuclear program. This would have made it a high-value target for any intelligence agency. The Carter administration was deeply concerned about nuclear proliferation and had imposed sanctions on India. A controversial book claims the U.S. had an intelligence asset on board, aiming to secure nuclear materials during the Dubai stopover. The crash, according to this theory, was an unintended consequence of a covert operation gone wrong. Shortly after the crash, a U.S. nuclear submarine was reported near the site, officially for routine operations, but the timing raised eyebrows. Was the U.S. searching for sensitive wreckage before Indian authorities could find it? If the U.S. knew about nuclear materials on board, it would explain why the investigation was steered toward mechanical failure. Nearly 5 decades later, we're left with more questions than answers. The official story is riddled with inconsistencies, unexplored possibilities, and a legacy of doubt. The crash did lead to improvements in aviation safety, but these changes don't bring closure to the families. The possibility of a cover-up, especially involving a foreign intelligence agency, remains the most unsettling aspect. The truth may be buried in classified archives, locked away under the guise of national security. Was it a tragic accident, or was Flight 171 a pawn in a larger, more sinister game? The evidence allows for multiple interpretations, and without new information, a definitive answer may be lost to history. Perhaps the most important question is not what we believe, but why the full story of Air India Flight 171 still feels just out of reach.